I use StreamYard. So today we are talking with. So today I'm talking with my two good friends, Jason and Becky, about what I assume is a very awesome wedding, but I don't know really the details about it. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, it was awesome. Best day of my life.
From what I've seen, it wasn't a very traditional wedding, was it?
Well, whose traditions are you measuring this against? It's the same type of wedding as I've had every time.
I thought I was your first husband.
Yes, you're my first husband.
It wasn't the style of wedding you would see in a movie, is what I'm trying to say.
That's because movies are doing it wrong.
What about if you're watching a movie that is set in a steampunk world and there's a wedding in it?
How'd you get... Yeah, your wedding was steampunk. How'd you guys come up with the idea to have a steampunk wedding?
Well, I couldn't imagine my parents wearing cyberpunk clothes.
No.
So,
those are our two kind of general ideas.
Because, like, when we think about the genres of things we like, it's cyberpunk and steampunk are kind of both things we really love. And like I say, I couldn't imagine my mum wearing a neon skimpy skirt and a plastic transparent jacket.
I don't think anyone wants to see that.
Myself included.
Yeah. I kind of nicked it as well from my friend's best man and his husband's wedding, because they also did steampunk.
They did, yes. Many years ago. I hadn't been to that one, but yeah.
No, that's before we met.
It was. But, I mean, as genres go, I just think it's cool.
You get so many ideas for, like, aesthetics with your costumes and decorations as well. Hello, Lord Morbius.
Hey, Lord Morbius, hi.
With there's so many different little original touches you can do with steampunk to make it your own. Like, there's not, as you said, Fjook, there's not many people who obviously do a steampunk wedding. But if you Google or find footage of weddings on YouTube, they all look so different to each other. I was slightly obsessed with that at one point before the wedding, like looking at other people's and seeing, they've done it that way. Oh, okay, we could maybe do it like that. Oh.
I think we outdid them all.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm glad you didn't just go with the Cthulhu's themed wedding. I know you're fans of that as well.
Well, it's close in time period, isn't it?
Yeah, and there were a few people there who were definite big fans of Call of Cthulhu, and there was a little bit in there. Although I did wear in the footage you might be able to see, but there's this sort of pin on my tie that does have a Cthulhu theme. It's one of the cults, it's like a pin of one of the big cults, which I thought I could wear. It's like a little homage.
You snuck that past me. I never noticed.
I did sneak it in.
So how long did it take you to design your outfits? Because I assume your outfits are custom jobs.
Yes, especially Becky's.
Mine was a transforming outfit. It started off looking like this amazing regal I am the Empress of the Universe outfit, and ended up looking like a drunk tart at 3 a.m. in the gutter.
Yeah, but that's like the perfect bride costume then.
I think so, yeah.
And it was great as well, because it was really, it doesn't look it, but it was really warm, especially inside. So it was great that you could take layers off, because it looked absolutely boiling in the whole thing of the ceremony.
I mean in the ceremony, temperature wise I was fine. I wouldn't have been able to dance in the full get-up though.
No,
but
exactly.
there were various parts of the costume that were detachable. So the dress was 3 different parts, I think. So I took 2 of them off for the first dance. And then the top jacket came off, the wear came off and stuff. So I ended up looking very different. And to be honest, by the end of the night, a bit of a mess.
And you started, well, thinking or taking shape with your outfit, like, how long in advance? Because bear in mind, I didn't see any of it until the day.
Well,
I wasn't allowed.
I don't think it's fair to sort of like think of it as how long in advance, because like how long before the first attempt at getting married? Because you may or may not know that originally we were going to get married 2 weeks after the first lockdown happened.
Yeah.
So we had to postpone the wedding for about 2 years. Because we thought about possibly doing it after the first year when things started to open back up, but things were still uncertain. We still had people ill. We knew. Then your mum got married.
Yes.
So, we thought, well, we have to push the date away from that. So we ended up about 2.5 years later from our original date, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then my costume, I guess, was a bit simpler in that I found this really good seamstress. I think she's based near California. And I found like the kind of style and the colors that I wanted and stuff, and did the measurements. And that was the first time round. And then the second time round, I suddenly didn't fit in anything anymore. I got sideways in all dimensions. So I'm like, can you make them again for me, please? And she's like, yeah, sure. And so in the end, I did wear that. There was an interesting sort of last minute decision with my hat, because the hat I got originally, it just didn't match the measurements at all, and they wouldn't let me return it. And then I found this amazing hat, because it sounds insane, but I actually forgot to sort out a new hat, which sounds insane, yeah. But it was like, what was it, like 4 weeks away from the wedding or something, and this was a hat like in America, so it'll take forever to get over here, but it was literally perfect and fitted me perfectly. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to pay stupid monies just to get it over here in time, and it did, and I'm so pleased I did, because it's amazing.
So the other wedding that you mentioned that you had to move years for, was that more of what you would see in a Hollywood movie, or was that also steampunk?
It was steampunk, but it was still going to be
No, your mum's
different.
He's asking about your mum's wedding.
Oh, my mum's wedding. Oh yeah, that was definitely more traditional. Yeah. So we just wore, I mean, I wouldn't say bog standard suits and dresses, but
it was straight out of a Hollywood movie, because everyone there could sing and play musical instruments, so all the entertainment came from the guests at the wedding. Like, you can't do that in a normal wedding, because if like regular people turn up and sing, it sounds awful. But what you need to understand is Jason's mum was a music teacher for all of her life, and family is all musical. So, like, the entertainment was just these incredibly talented people. Some of them are very near the top of their respective musical industries. Just putting on this amazing gig.
Yeah, including the DJ
you.
and stuff. Yes, including me a couple of times. They wanted me to sing, which was terrifying. But I apparently made small children like just stop still in awe. Because before they were kind of just sort of running around a little bit. And
it's actually the
talking.
first time I've ever heard you perform as a singer.
Indeed.
And it was amazing. It genuinely was.
Well, thank you.
But you didn't sing at her own wedding?
No, I thought that would be a bit kind of cheesy to sing at my own wedding.
A bit self-indulgent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
So what did you have for music at your wedding? Did you have a steampunk band or what?
Well, we turned them into a steampunk band by giving them lots of hats, but we began with a traditional ceilidh, and then in the evening we had a decades band.
We might have to explain what a ceilidh is.
Of course, yes, for those people who aren't from the windswept, I don't know, what would you call Britain, the depressing Isles. So a ceilidh, it's more Scottish really, but it's kind of Celtic, and you are a Celt.
Yes.
I'm a little tiny bit Scottish, mostly English.
Oh, you got a bit of Welsh
quite a bit
blood,
of Welsh,
yeah.
yes. Yeah, my nan was Welsh. Although they don't really do ceilidhs in maybe North Wales.
It's
but
definitely more of a Scottish
yeah,
thing.
it's more Scottish, but
But
we
basically,
appropriated it.
yeah. So we went to this other wedding, a friend of mine's, and she's got, you know, big Scottish heritage. So of course she's going to do a ceilidh, and that was your first ceilidh, wasn't it? Or
That's the
like
first
one
time
for a
I've
long
been to a
time,
ceilidh, yeah.
And you were absolutely like smitten by it. And you're like, oh my god,
yes
we've
and
got to have
no.
it. Oh my god.
What do you mean no Morris dances Lord Morbius? No,
Oh,
ceilidh is
no,
like
no,
where
no,
the guests are essentially doing barn dancing. It's
It,
basically
yeah,
it's the nearest I could equate to
it's
it.
like the Scottish version of barn dancing or square
Yeah,
dancing.
but very traditional. So you've got the fiddle and a full band, and you have a caller telling you, you know, organising the moves beforehand, and then
Yeah.
calling all that out, keeping it all organised. And it's not organised; it's always a mess. But what I like
But that's
about
part of the fun.
Yeah, what I like about ceilidhs though is it gets people up. Because if you just put, let's say you put music on and you have a DJ, what they tend to do is crank the volume up to try and get people to dance. And it's horrid.
Yeah.
And or you know, you can get, you know, Decades bands, yeah, kind of okay. You know, we did have that for the evening entertainment. But again, you know, people don't dance to sort of rock and pop songs, you know. That's not really what they're about. So I thought, you know, if we have the ceilidh at the start, it kind of gets people up.
Yeah, and on the most part it worked, but again it was so blooming hot, and they really got us like working.
Well, ceilidhs are a
with
workout.
ceilidhs. Yeah, but like, I've been to a few, and that was quite intense. Or maybe I've just not done one for a while, and I'm
I
extremely
think
unfit.
it's the latter. You're just getting older, darling. That's what
I'm
it
just
is.
getting older and fatter. But yeah, so like it was getting harder and harder for them to keep getting people back up because we just wanted to rest.
But I alternate. I do
Yes,
a song,
you did do.
I
yeah,
sit down and do
you
a
did
song, sit
alternate.
down. That's what I was doing last time. As well.
What I found though is both the bride and the groom, you're always told to go and do something, even though you've literally
you do
just
get pulled
sat
around
down.
a lot on your wedding day,
Yeah,
don't you?
yeah. I didn't quite realize just how much that would happen.
Hmm.
And yeah, apart from that, so like in between the gigs or like during the meal and stuff, we had a rather nice, if I do this to myself, playlist that I put together of our favorite or songs that we both enjoy and things like that. And they were like different mixes. So like some of it was like really sort of calm and ambient. Some of it was more kind of steampunk themed.
Yeah, we set the music for all the different
yeah.
stages of the day. So
Then we had some
fitted
heavier
what was
stuff
happening.
in the evening, and etc. etc.
And I got to walk down the aisle to Jenny Torturers. That was epic.
Yeah, I still think though that they turned it off before the good bit in the chorus, because it doesn't take very long to go down that little corridor.
No. Well, actually, the room we actually got married in is such a short walkway.
Yeah.
That they actually opened all the fire doors down the corridor leading into the room, so I'd have a long enough walk so I could actually hear the song.
It was a very cool room though that we got married in.
The whole building was so steampunk.
Yeah, definitely.
We were very lucky with the venue to you know, have that near us.
Yeah. Because the room with the wedding in, again, like not that many couples tend to pick it from what I can gather, and it's certainly not like the most prominent thing on the website. People normally go for the quite sort of boring looking rooms with like
much
nice
more traditional rooms,
white seating and ribbons and stuff, whereas we went for a council chamber.
Yeah, but it is so steampunk.
Yeah,
and you look at it on the video, you'll see why. The thing is, like the Great Hall itself, where the reception was, it looks like it was designed by Isambard Kingdom Brunel and then painted by Gaudi. It's just color everywhere and steel, and it's such an amazing hall. I love the really fitted the theme.
They're not really good. It's what would you call them? There's kind of supports in the ceiling, like almost like a train station sort of thing. Yeah. Oh, they are okay. I thought they had a fancier name than girders.
Probably.
Yeah.
Am I an architect?
Maybe.
No. I thought you knew this.
So how did you find such a steampunk venue for your steampunk wedding?
We're just really lucky that it happens to be in the town where we live. Like as like the building, I kind of call it a wedding factory because it does do a lot of weddings there. But the most steampunk rooms are rarely used for weddings.
Yeah.
The Great Hall, I think, as a reception room, maybe, but like
that's pretty popular for the actual reception part.
But the room that we actually got married in, the actual council chamber, that's rarely used by anyone because it's not traditional at all. But it just had such strong theming, you know. It just fitted us perfectly.
But yeah, like on the day, I think there were 2 weddings before ours.
There were a couple of weddings not in the venue itself, though. That was actually in the office and
so
not actually in the Guildhall.
So sort of low
well,
profile.
sort of it's part of the Guildhall complex, but they weren't in the actual Guildhall itself. Was actually for us the whole day.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Although I must admit, when when I was going up with my groomsmen on our attire, just to kind of get settled and whatever, and just sort any last minute things out. The previous wedding, like the bridesmaids and stuff, were outside, and they were very kind of traditionally dressed, so some pastel coloured silk, whatever, and you know, suits for the men and all that. And we were there in our amazing tailcoats and hats, just sort of swanning up, looking amazing. And I'm like, yeah, we look so much better than they do.
Remember when we all came, like, so after the actual ceremony, we all went outside for the group photo and confetti type stuff. And people in the street were just stopping and cheering and clapping because it's just like this scene of all these people dressed up in steampunk attire.
And there was a bar opposite, just in that little street as well. And they were all going, woo! Like, we were a bit of a spectacle. Shame about the roadworks, but that wasn't quite in the photo, luckily.
Well, no, the roadworks are there to close the road for us. That's what I think.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yes, well, I am an empress.
So, will you ever wear your costumes again?
I mean, I'd like to.
What we do in the bedroom is entirely not really for public consumption. So,
apart from the bedroom, though, I think he means in public.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I'm a little bit shy, you know. Oh, you don't mean right? I understand. Just wearing the clothes in public.
Wearing the clothes in public.
Right. I see. I thought it because, like, I have, like, because my outfit is comprised of so many pieces. I have thought about wearing the pieces, but I haven't wanted to do it so far because I haven't wanted to undermine the day.
Okay, that's interesting.
And the other thing is, if I was to, like, go to a steampunk event, like, let's say somebody else had a steampunk wedding, I wouldn't wear that dress because I'd be worried about outdoing everyone.
No. I mean, for me, I think it's more because I've lost weight again. So I know that there'll be a couple of things that will definitely be too loose.
I do, however, the handbag has become my regular handbag.
That's very true. Yeah,
that is steampunk themed, and it is now my handbag. I have worn the boots a few times as well.
Yeah,
but the actual cloth, I haven't touched yet. We shall see.
So, how did you get your cake to be steampunk?
I mean, we weren't really very much involved with the cake, were we? It was more your mum.
Yeah, my mum sorted that out.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, my parents, like, I knew that my mum would want to be involved in the wedding, so I thought the best way to make this not hell is to give her a task.
Yeah.
So I put her in charge of decor, and they did an amazing job. Like, with my dad, because he's quite an accomplished, you know, woodworker and handyman and stuff, and he built these gigantic sort of cog displays. This is something. This background here is something they put together, and that was in the hall as a photo backdrop. They did the table decorations. They put so much effort in. And the thing is, because of the postponement for 2 years, it just meant they made more.
We had
and
so
more and
much
more
stuff at one point.
They even made. I'm sure there's one. I'm going to grab it.
Oh yeah.
So we got these table decorations like this, and they found them. They're basically like puzzles, 3D puzzle type things, laser print, laser cut wood type things. And he assembled like 10 of these to use as like little decorations on the table, and there's all sorts. There's like balloons, there's trains, and anything that's kind of steampunky. Fairground rides, Clock, there's an actual clock which does turn hands as well.
So that was very cute.
They put a lot of effort into that, and I think, as I say, I think a lot of it was because they had an extra 2 years to make stuff, and of course there was lockdown. So what are you going to do?
In terms of the cake, I mean, it did look steampunk. It's not the most steampunk cake in terms of design, though I can think of.
The icing was plain.
Yeah, the icing was white.
What my mum did, she decorated it. Afterwards.
Yeah.
So, because it was just like a regular white wedding cake, and then she just sort of put some stuff on it.
But
and my dad built the cake base as well.
That's right, of course, yeah.
That was all cogified.
Yeah, there was a lovely kind of cog base.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yes.
Were you at any point worried that the decorations wouldn't be as good as they were?
No. I mean, throughout the 2 years, we'd sort of seen little bits, and I'd already gotten to the point with it that I'd glaze over every time my parents would show me this stuff, because it was just too much to handle with everything.
Yeah, it was a lot of things, but also, like, for me anyway, I couldn't really envisage where things would go until we actually went and put them somewhere.
But then, of course, you're in a hall, which is in itself, it's quite, the design of the hall is quite noisy visually.
Yeah, so you don't want too much.
Well, no, it's not that. It's like, I think you could put tons of stuff in there and you still wouldn't even really necessarily see it, because there's such a loud design of the building itself on the interior that, like my dad actually said, like, he was almost disappointed because, these giant cog displays he made, and they were huge, but they were lost in there because of the sheer scale of the place and just how decorated it is. It's like, I would have made them like 4 times the size. He's going, like, you'd had to have taken them up here in an HGV. You can't.
Yeah, that's true.
So no, I mean, I was never worried about that things wouldn't look right. I think with the original plan, the original venue we were going to have was really just what we could afford at the time.
Yeah.
And I think then it might have been a bit kind of tackier. And so in a way, it's good that COVID happened, because it gave us an extra 2 years to save.
Plenty of, good things that came out of postponing it in the end. I mean, there were some things that we were kind of putting together at the last minute the first time round, or things we just hadn't got ready at all, or things that we were going to postpone anyway and do later. Like some of the legal stuff, for example, because
I mean, it's
so complicated.
I think with I am glad that COVID happened. I hate saying that. I lost a great aunt, but no, I'm glad the postponement happened, because it's like we'd had the experience of preparing a wedding. So, but we weren't divorcees, still doing it for the first time. So it was still a magical day.
Absolutely.
But yeah. I married you twice. Loved you that much. Lord Morbius says, when we renew our vows, we need to take off in a steampunk dirigible in the middle of a fireworks sky show. What?
That's going to be really expensive. I hope you're funding that.
No, you realise he's talking about us dying in the explosion.
Oh, I see.
The steampunk dirigible, so an air balloon, and
I
then
know
fireworks.
What a dirigible is, yeah. Oh, I see.
He's trying to murder us. It does sound epic, though. What a way to go out.
So, funeral.
Yeah, there you go. That'll be the cremation. Fill it with helium.
So, this question came to me a few moments ago. Is anything about your wedding that you would use in a role-playing game?
It would be very difficult if the players weren't there, because as soon as you say wedding, they're going to think something out of, like you say, Hollywood, and nothing at all like what we did. Because there isn't a common frame of reference. Like, even talking about it now, if you haven't seen the video, you wouldn't know what we're referring to. You know, when I talk about the giant cogs, when I talk about the venue, like, how can you explain that? Like, and if you try to describe everything, just doing like the north-facing wall, you'd be there an hour as a GM, wouldn't you? It's like,
yeah. Nothing went horrendously wrong on the day, so we can't even use that for inspiration.
Yeah. No, it ran really smoothly. I might use like things we did, such as, like, you know, there was the balcony speech and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, the confetti. I didn't want to kill the planet unnecessarily, so we had rose petals, and they're all wildflower grown, made by my cousin Stella. And you know, so little details like that. But I mean, I don't know, as a GM, if you could use our wedding as an inspiration, unless the players were there, and you could say, like my wedding, but you know, and then, I don't know, put an orc in or whatever. But for role-playing game purposes, I don't know, whatever the plot is. Oh, he meant launching fireworks from the dirigible, so, you know, the flame's really close to the helium.
That's no better.
Are you aware how flame sources work when it comes to big gas storage mediums, Lord Morbius?
And what goes up must come down.
Well, one hopes if you're trying to launch a firework from a dirigible, you're not firing it up. I think we've broken Fjuke.
Yep.
So, by the sounds of it, I already know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. If you had a time machine, would you do it the same?
I'd do the wedding the same, but I'd never have another wedding. Oh, I cannot explain the stress. Like, you know, trying to organize everything, and then, you know, there were things that went wrong, just not on the day.
Yeah.
Right. My maid of honor wasn't there; she was in hospital. I had to get my sister to stand in as the maid of dishonor.
Yeah.
Which she did, and she was brilliant at it, and arguably a much more organized maid of honor. One of the bridesmaids couldn't come, or didn't come. Not that I'm angry. You know, then, you know, you get little things like there's maybe somebody is currently annoyed with some other person in the family, and, you know, and you're trying to juggle the seating plan around, and like, oh, this person doesn't want to seat with them, or this person would like to seat with them. You get the opposite of it as well, don't you? It's like
we were saying,
like, we've printed the table diagram.
that was so annoying. Our friends were really easy to seat on the whole, and they were just the right number. But oh my god, family were a nightmare. I said they should have thought of this before they like made more babies, because there's not enough room on this table.
Then you got the confusion with one of my cousins. I was trying to explain to him that because they were in the actual ceremony room, there's only room for 50 people, and he had, you know, a couple of kids, or has a couple of kids. And I said, and what I was trying to explain to him was, for the ceremony part, could maybe one of you come in and the other one stays and looks after the kids? Because I haven't room to basically give 20% of our hall to your family, you know. So he took that as, can we just sort of turn up later in the day type thing, and, you know,
I don't know what he took it as.
So he cancelled at the last minute because he thought he was kind of uninvited, and it's like, no, that's not what I meant. And then on the, like, his family sorted it out on the day and stuff, and he did get there and stuff, but nightmare. You know, so you get all these kind of issues as well, which are all just silly things.
Yeah.
You know, that, and you know, that none of them spoiled the day, but when you're trying to organize everything else and you've got big bills going out, you're trying to organize the money, and people are saying you need this, that, and the other, and you're trying to get everything sorted, and then you get all these additional requests in. That stress is not something I will ever do again.
It takes forever for people to reply to emails as well, I've found.
Yeah.
If you're looking for, I don't know, a photographer, and oh God, don't get me started on the first caterer. Like, they take forever to reply to you.
It's like you'd think they'd want the business.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was stressful.
I think after many attempts and even phone calls, we actually never heard a thing from the first caterer. And the problem was the hall has, you know, there's license agreements or whatever involved. There's only 3 caterers to go from. They've all got a different menu. So we picked the menu we wanted. So therefore, there's one caterer. Months go by. We're trying to get hold of this person.
Just nothing.
And with like a couple of months ago, we were talking to the venue, trying to get them to sort it out.
Yeah.
And then I think it was like 4 to 6 weeks.
It was 6
beforehand.
weeks.
Yeah.
6 weeks.
That we managed to get one of the other caterers to do their menu.
Yep. Although arguably it was probably better quality.
Quite likely, yeah.
And it's very nice food.
There was a bit of a mix up with the beer, but it was fine. No major, no major headache, at least not for us.
Nah.
But yeah.
I really wish I could continue talking to you guys longer, but I have to get ready for work, unfortunately. So I like to end all my conversations with the same question. Anything or anyone you would like to shout out at this time?
Well, Lord Morbius, because I haven't seen him for ages, which is admittedly mostly my fault because I don't stream anymore. Sorry. So, hi. So yeah, there's that.
I mean, shout out to Fjooks because you're awesome, and thank you for interviewing us on Oz. Yeah, obviously everyone who came to the wedding, watched the wedding, was involved in some way. You're all wonderful.
I always enjoy talking to you, both of you. I hope to figure out something else to talk about you in the future, and I hope everyone in your lives the best of mental health, as well as those that are watching, mental and physical health. Everyone, hopefully it's perfect. And
thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Talk to you in the future.
Okay. Bye.